This is Beyond Business. Witness the real lives of Cranbrook's female entrepreneurs as they candidly tell their stories, their experiences, and their struggles in raw, revealing conversations. I am so excited about my guest today, and it's not just because my entire wardrobe is primarily been supplied from my guest, Shan.
That's wonderful to hear. Thank you.
She has been in business in retail for 17 years, which is no small feat in itself. Shan came from Cranbrook, and shortly after high school, she took off to the big city to get some education, but landed back in the Kootenays. So, welcome, Shan.
Oh, it's going to be spicy.
Well, we'll see. So, tell me what happened. You were starting out your career and you were thinking you were going to be working in television.
Yes, I went to school. I was hell-bent on the film and television career path. And funny enough, finished education in that and then landed like the dream job that I wanted right after school. And it was intense. And anybody in that industry will tell you that you're living in it. There's not much room for any outside life. And I'd worked as a producer for a couple of years, traveling on the road, living out of a suitcase. And at a young age, we didn't have that term at the time, but it's now called burnout. And I didn't know that what was happening, but I really burned out. I had really no social life. I just worked, and I decided I was going to take a year off for mental health, which we didn't say those words back then either. I was like, I'm just gonna take a year off, and I went to Fernie, and I thought I was just gonna snowboard for a year and just chill out. And then I realized that my heart was in the Kootenays, and I didn't go back to the city.
I am so impressed. Well, first of all, there's some really interesting things about this. First of all, the fact that you got your dream job right out of school. Most people, I think, when they come out of school, they have an idea of where they're going, but there's this recognition that there's going to be work to have to get there. So to land that piece right at the beginning.
I think that there was a little bit of caveat to that, though, that being like a 21-year-old new graduate, I perhaps may have been taken a little advantage of my naivety. So, I was willing to work for peanuts, and that's probably a little bit why I got that job so young, because it was, there's just not a lot of money in some of those projects. So I was able to get a higher than I anticipated, probably because I was willing to work for a little.
Right, which probably contributed to the burnout.
Yeah.
Maybe not being compensated for the amount of energy and effort that you were putting into this job.
And I think that is something that happens with all like interns and people starting out, where they think that they're really undervalued and think that that's what they deserve.
Right.
So
you land in Fernie.
I land in Fernie. I cried for a year. There wasn't a lot of jobs, and I had to adapt. I worked for the Canadian Cancer Society, throwing an event and kind of picking up any kind of job I could find. And even at the local cable station, they were kind enough to throw me 10 hours a week to do some videographer work. And I hadn't really done that. Hadn't really put myself in front of the camera before. But here was an opportunity, and I was like, I'm just going to throw myself out there and learn as I go.
Well, what intrigues me about that is there's some boldness in that I'm just going to figure this out. I'm going to put myself out there. And I think that is a commonality that most entrepreneurs have.
Mm-hmm. Yes. How to articulate that? I think that you got to reach in there and find the courage and just put yourself out there and have a little bit of faith in yourself.
So how did Freya come to be? So you're in Fernie, you're crying,
Mm-hmm.
you're taking whatever jobs come your way,
Mm-hmm.
but haven't really found your place.
And so to back up a little bit too, like for retail, I had worked in clothing stores throughout high school. So I'd had a little bit of a taste of women's clothing and retail. And even when I was in college, I still worked for some corporate retail stores as my part-time work. So it wasn't completely new. I had a little bit of training in merchandising and sales. But my roommate and I thought we would have this side hustle where we were going to have a little store. It would be open on the weekends. and we would rented this little space. It was like this smaller than this room. And when we went to go get the keys, the landlord just kind of changed his mind. And I mean, I was 26, so I just was like, okay, I guess he's changed his mind. We can't rent the space. And it kind of came down to my roommate immediately was out. She's like, no, I'm going back to school in the fall. Like if this wasn't going to be this tiny little project, I'm out.
Right.
And I said, well, I'm really excited about this. And like, this is something that Fernie really needs. Like I could really see us selling women's clothes here. And either I now go across the street to this empty space and rent a huge space and take it to that next level. And like, this all happened like overnight. And I just so went across the street to this empty space, and Fernie at the time had really had like a lot of empty spaces. It wasn't like a thriving place that it is now, and went out on a limb and rented it for a 2-year lease.
You committed to 2 years, never having owned a business.
No.
Never, like, not having any education in retail, just having some high school experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the clothes that you had on this rack that you were going to sell out of this small space on the weekend, did you have, like, what were you thinking in terms, because now you have to fill a store.
Well, I think that, and that's kind of been like my story of my business right now, is that when I did start it, it was, I was 26. I was really into the DJ music scene. So that looked like a bit junior and a bit urban. And then that's what my peers and I were really into at the time. That was a big part of my life at the time. And then as the store aged and I aged, and I also read the market, that Freya look evolved as well. So, after about a year, because I had been carrying men's clothes, that got cut right away. There was just no men coming in the door. Cut that. And then I realized, well, we sure sell a lot of like floral dresses. So kind of tapping into like, well, what really is working in Fernie. And so that look and that customer base aged with me and has come with me on that ride. So now we're a bit more sophisticated, a little, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't look like that urban, youthful, trendy junior store anymore. But that's what it looked like at the time.
Right.
And I mean, that was my people. So I knew how to speak to them and I could sell that. And then as I aged, that language changed.
So you've been able to kind of maintain your customer base because you see yourself as kind of a client almost of.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And
or a customer.
I know my shopping habits. I know my customer base really well. And I know that we've aged, and I'm not going, I couldn't be here at 43 having this junior store. I mean, maybe if I was really passionate about it, but like it doesn't speak to me anymore. I'm not wearing that type of clothing anymore. And my customer base that's come with me is not wearing that either.
So do you find that you have a lot of the customers that you had 17 years ago? Like,
I'd say so.
Have they stayed with you?
I'd say there's definitely like a Freya Kootenay core base that's definitely been on this ride with me for sure.
Well, being in Cranbrook, most of the women I know of your store and go to your store when they go to Fernie.
Yeah, we had a location here for a while too, and we've done pop-up shops here, and then my online is focused a lot just in that rubber tire area, as in you can shop with me online, and it's going to come almost overnight because it's just in this Kootenay area, or take a day drive and come up for lunch and have a great day in Fernie.
Your business has evolved with you as you've changed and evolved. And what I never really realized or put together until today is, but I would imagine that your experience in TV production has enabled you to move with the trend of moving things online.
And I guess, that I know that some business owners really struggle with technology. So maybe I'm lucky that I had this background with technical things, and it's not something that scares me. And I embrace it. That's part of, I think, being the adaptableness in business is this technology. It's always going to change. You're always going to have to be learning. With my background in television, I think that gave me, I think with the social media aspect is that I did have an eye for production. I did have an eye for camera, for what sounded good, how to put something together. So that definitely gave me a leg up than maybe the next business owner, but also just I think in that technology is like when all that stuff started emerging, it was Facebook was the first one. I just was like, I can't see this going away.
Mm.
And I mean, at that time, it was just photos. There was no videos on Facebook. It was just taking photos or even just sharing your vendor photos. Um, but that was a great way to reach people, and I didn't shy away from it.
So you knew right from the get-go that that was something that you were going to have to embrace with your company.
Well, yeah, embrace it, but also it worked.
Mm.
Like if I did something on social media, like even in the early days of Instagram, people were coming in the door. Like, why would I ignore that? It worked. So yeah, I embraced it for sure.
Do you have a, because it doesn't do you have a hard time being on camera? Because from an outside perspective, it doesn't look like it. Like whenever I see your posts online or on socials, you always seem so comfortable in what you're doing and in your own skin.
So I tell business owners this all the time because I'm always encouraging to do that more. And especially when we were in the pandemic, when you really needed to get out there and people want authentic, they want to know the person behind the business. It does help. And so I've had this conversation so much with them. And I've said, trust me, my first couple times that I wanted to do like a try on or talk on camera, I was tormented. I did my hair. I had so much eyeliner on. Like I didn't just jump on the camera and do that. It took time,
Hmm.
but I kept doing it. And then now turn on the camera and go. You do get better at it. You just have to start somewhere. And I was scared at the beginning too, even with my television background. I'd close the store for an hour. I wouldn't even have anyone walk in. I had, a tripod and like the whole 9 yards. I was terrified. And you could probably hear it in my voice. But the more I did it, the easier that it got. So I always say to other business owners that are struggling with it, just start somewhere.
Hmm.
Just start with somewhere and it will get easier.
So you just keep doing it.
Just keep doing it. Yeah, you'll get more comfortable with it.
I'm surprised that it wasn't comfortable for you right from the get-go because I've never seen a hint of that feeling uncomfortable. And I think that's one of the pieces that I admire about you because I've watched how your business has evolved and how you've evolved. And I'm one of those people that's came alongside you as your store has changed because I've been
Hmm.
changing too. And I think as women that feeling of I want to look a certain way, I want to feel a certain way in my clothes, and
Hmm.
I want to feel confident. I think that's something that we think about a lot. I think as
Hmm.
especially as a professional woman, I think about that. How am I coming across? And I'm wondering how you've navigated that space because you get first sight into so many women's lives because they're coming to shop from you and to purchase clothes from
This
you.
is like such a loaded question because I was even thinking on the drive here. I mean, oh man, that's it's loaded for me because I think what I want to do, what I try to do with Freya is, especially as you and I have grown, and I'm taking this customer base with me, is that we are now in our professional careers. We're not out night clubbing. So there's not so much that, but it's like we are want to be presentable. We do want to, feel confident. Even if you're picking up your kids from the schoolyard, you want to feel comfortable. You want to feel yourself. You want to express your own style, and you want to be your best authentic self. So I want to make that easy. I don't think that any of us have time, right, to go to a mall and park and walk around for an hour or hours. Who wants to do that? I feel like that's a dated kind of thing. So I want to curate it all so all that stuff's easy. And you can trust me that I've pre-picked this stuff out, that this is what's going to be great for you to live your best life. But when you said the first insight into women, it's a part of my training with staff is that confidence thing.
Hmm.
Um, you know, every day, every day, people are coming out of the change room and saying really terrible things about themselves to themselves. And as staff, we just listen to it all day, and it's really sad because they're seeing they can always be skinnier. They can always look thinner. Is this looking? It's all day, and it's really terrible. And so it's delicate. Everybody's so different with it, and all I want to do is just give women some confidence. because you don't know where they're going with that, or what kind of day they had the day before, or where they need that outfit for. Who knows? But if we can give them just that little bit of confidence, in a respectable, delicate way, that's kind of the point of my store.
Right.
We're not curing cancer, but if I can give women confidence into whatever they need to do, that's what I tell my staff. That's the point of the store.
Right. Well, because how we feel in our clothes and how we feel in our skin makes an impact
It
in
makes a
how,
big difference in your day.
yeah, well, and how we can present ourselves to others. And I know for myself, my clothes have to be able to go through all sorts of things throughout the day. They have to be able to play and
Hmm.
do things with the kids. They have to be able to be professional in meetings and on
Hmm.
Zoom. And I'm not changing throughout the day, right? I need one thing that
It's
I
true.
can wear through all of these different activities. And I think our lives are so demanding or can be so demanding. So having things that we feel good on in is such a big deal. But the part that I find that I have struggled with is my body's changed,
Hmm.
and my perspective on how my body is not the way that other people perceive me.
Right, right. We're all in our own heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that I've noticed about how you with Freya when you're online is you're very comfortable saying what your size is.
Mm.
And everybody can see that because you're talking about how the clothes fit.
Yeah. I mean, I think that people get really hung up on, I mean, there's so much to that. I think that I want to make sure that I'm relatable and authentic. And I think I've been in business long enough that a size on a tag isn't going to dictate my self-worth. And unfortunately, some people get really hung up on that. I see it every day. Um, I think that every manufacturer is different. Every fabric is different. So I'm always just very clear on like what size in this particular style is, and I'm not going to lie about it, and I'm not afraid to show if something I'm a large in or an extra large. Like, oh, God forbid. I think that it's just being authentic and showing people that these are real. I'm real. This is a real body. I'm 43-year-old mom. This is I want to look good. I look great in this. This is the size. And yeah, I have no qualms about hiding or feeling embarrassed about anything like that. I think it's important to be authentic. And I think that's what's made the store successful is I'm not trying to be something that I'm not.
Mm.
I'm not going to go out and hire all these, size zero girls from Calgary. That's just not, it's not me. It's not the store. It's not my customer base. I think being real, and this is one of the best times for women to be proud of that.
Well, and you have so much confidence. At
I
least
try. I'm human.
but that's how it comes across, Shan, when I see you out there or even when I talk with you in person. You know who you are and you know what your store does. And so it seems like a lot of this comes from this place of assurance. Like I know who I am, and because I know who I am, I can do things and my store can be the way that it needs to be because I know myself.
Yeah, and I think that uh, being finding your own voice, finding your own style is. I mean, that's unique to me. That's unique to the next girl. So for me to be like another carbon copy of something, I don't know if that would resonate as well. I just think that, especially in this time when you are able to have your own YouTube channel or your an Instagram, you everybody has their own unique style and look, and that's a gift that you have that's yours.
Right.
That's your talent. That's your uniqueness. And people will find you for your uniqueness. And if they don't like it, that's totally fine. They can go find something that they like. But I'm not going to try to be something I'm not. Yeah. I don't
Well,
know. I'm 43. That's just sounds exhausting.
Well, and I think it comes from the wisdom that you've gained in the last 17 years, too, right? In being
Hmm.
in that business and seeing how other women are and knowing how you are and continuing to have confidence because you've had success.
Yeah. I mean, like there's any business has had setbacks. I'm human. I have insecurities for sure. But I think that especially in the business, if you're going to put yourself out online, Um, I want to make sure that I maintain that energy too, right? I don't, I think that's part of this new world of like social media that we're in too. Like I have a tone and I have an audience, and I keep it professional, keep it on point in that direction of uplifting women, confidence, keeping that voice clear every time.
Right.
If I want to talk about something that's like really off point from that, I might do that on a different channel. But for my business, this is important. I want to keep that voice and that energy and the tone consistent.
Right. Now, do you find that there's a lot of separation between your professional entrepreneur life and your personal life? And the reason why I ask this is because one of the great things about being an entrepreneur is our ability to integrate our life, our personal and our professional life. And the buck always stops here when you're the entrepreneur. So you can get called on the weekends or
Mm-hmm.
on the evenings. And there's always things that we need to be thinking about that are outside of the office hours or the business hours. But I'm curious for you, do you have a lot of separation? Do you try to keep Freya separate from your personal life, or how do you navigate that?
It's a good question because I grew up in a house of entrepreneurs. So it was very second nature to me that my parents were taking calls on the weekends, working at night, discussing things at a dinner table like that came up that day. That was my lifestyle growing up. So when I met my husband, who did not come from that kind of a house, he came from parents who, had a job and then came home and had their check every 2 weeks, and that it was that. And so we're very different. And so sometimes he can't speak my language. He doesn't really understand it, and it stresses him out. So he's the kind of person, and it's okay, but he's the kind of person that wouldn't be able to like he would be able to navigate this entrepreneur world. He does need big separation. Whereas for me, being integrated daily life, and I mean, it's the Kootenays are small, right? Like I'll head up a store on my way out of town today, and I'm gonna run into someone that's like, "Oh yeah, I bought that shirt at your store," and it's a customer, and I'm like, I'm just trying to buy dog food or whatever, or something. But you're always a little bit on.
Yes.
Um, but that to me, I just doesn't really bother me. Having it integrated like that. It does spill out a lot into my personal life for sure. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, and I
and I
think
think that's a small town thing too.
yes, because we have dual relationships,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the person who cuts your hair also shops at your store, and
Mm-hmm.
you go to the doctor's office, and the
Oh yeah.
person running the front counter where you're telling them why you're at the doctor's, you just seen
And
them
they're like,
yesterday.
can I return that sweater? And you're like, "Okay, yeah, yeah, of course. Just come to me next week. Yeah, no problem. Yeah." So you're always on a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I guess I can compartmentalize it a little bit, but some people can't, and that's okay too.
Yeah, it is okay, but it's interesting that your experience growing up with
Hmm.
entrepreneurs has made this life feel very normal to you.
Yeah, I think it made a big difference, and especially seeing my husband's side of it,
I bet.
because he is just like, "Oh, you're always on your phone," and I'm like, "It's not like I'm on my phone because I'm watching TikToks. I'm getting DMs into the Instagram about how does this fit? What's the cost of this?" And it's, that's a sale, that's a customer. I'm always fielding that stuff off. I'm not, doing it at the dinner table, and I have boundaries, but like it's yeah, it's definitely a different kind of lifestyle when you're an entrepreneur versus go to work, oop, get a paycheck, come home.
Now, did you guys have to figure that out, what that was going to look like? Like between you as a couple, like, okay, these are going to be the boundaries. I'm not going to be doing work at this time. Or did you just kind of say, this is how my life is? And because he came in after the business.
He did, but we dated for quite a bit, so he fully understood. He fully understood what he was getting into. And then I think it's just a respect. Like I know when to put the boundary up. I know to be off my phone answering DMs when him and I are having a nice conversation. Like you still have to have that respect for your partner too.
Right.
And he has a respect for me too. That's like sometimes Shan picks up her phone because a customer's calling. Like it's a mutual respect.
Yeah. And so because of that mutual respect and understanding, you've been able to navigate this even though
Mhm.
you essentially live quite different lives
Yep,
in terms of
definitely.
how work works.
Yep. Yeah, like everybody has a mental load from their work and stress and things that are on their mind. Mine's just I think the other thing too is like with the motherhood aspect, right? Because
Mm.
sometimes things just get put on hold so I can do other things and then I have to do it later. So sometimes like my email newsletters that I hold dear to my heart, sometimes I just don't get those done because I want to go watch hockey.
Right.
So I have to do that at 7 o'clock at night because I didn't get done. So, you know,
So you just prioritize in a certain way.
yeah. And so sometimes you just have to fill it in when you have to have that time. But you have to get your work done. But I have the ability to like, well, no, I want to take off from 6 to 7 to go watch my son practice hockey.
Well, and I think that's one of the greatest gifts of being an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur is having some control over your schedule and
Mm-hmm.
when you're going to be there.
I have all the love for my business because of all the stress and all of the ups and the downs and all of the adaptability and the stuff that's like variable. I still have it's given me a great life.
Hmm.
You know, I if I when Holden is on spring break, I go on spring break with him. And if he is sick one day, well, he's sick. I have to stay home with him. We'll have to figure that out. So I have all the love for my business that has been able to give me the life that I have.
Yeah.
And it's hard, there's hard times, but all the love in the space for that because I see the moms that have like cannot get their shift covered. They have to be there for that thing. That looks tough. That looks stressful too.
Yeah. So you've appreciated the freedom that it's given you to be
Hmm.
with your son.
Flexibility, freedom, definitely.
And that far outweighs any of the pressure that comes from.
I mean, it's something that for our family really worked, right? Because my husband's like regimented. He has to be at the mine all those days. He can't really take a day off when Holden's sick, but I can do that. So that worked really well for our family.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I have all the love for that side of being an entrepreneur.
So tell me a little bit about your life that isn't necessarily connected to your business. Because one of the other things that I've noticed about you is how important community is to you.
Right.
And it seems like you've had a love for community right from the get-go. So where did that originate? That you understand and value that community is important?
Hmm. I I think it's just in my bones. I don't know if there was a turning point where I thought, oh, I need to start doing this. I've always had my hands in the community. I think that is where the community thrives. I also think if you're in a community and you don't like something, well, what are you doing about it? Get involved. I think volunteer life has been a big part of my life. It's been very important to me to improve or to bring joy. Um, it just goes hand in hand. And if you want to swing it back to small business, I mean, small business, I always think of that meme that will go viral once in a while that says, a small business is sponsoring your kid's baseball team, not Amazon.
Right.
Small business is the backbone of a lot of our communities. And that my business has allowed me my business has allowed me to support my community back, and my community really supports me. um right, and I mean that's how a lot of us got through COVID. These communities came together and like supported these small businesses to get them through. How many times did we get takeout
Right.
from restaurants? But those restaurants, like that's our community. And so as much as like I've given my time back to my community has really supported me.
So is very much a give and take
Yeah.
relationship from the work perspective and then from the community.
Hmm.
So tell me some of the volunteer things that you've been doing and the contributions that you feel you've been giving back to the community.
Well, the big one is that I have been involved in the music festival in Fernie for since its inception. So that I was on that board for 13 years, kind of getting that off the ground. And then the thing that I'm most proud about not just getting the music festival off the ground and it being a smashing success, is that festival has been so successful that it's been really able to invest back into the community. So there's lots of grants that are given out from the music festival to the community to keep in the focus of music and live music and entertainment, being able to give that back to the community. Yeah, I'm very proud of my involvement in the music festival in Fernie. It's called Wapiti, and it is all volunteer run. And I was a part of it for a very long time. It took up a big part of my life. I resigned from the board last year. Actually, it was time for, I thought, some new blood, and for me to move into a different project, you could say. And so, yeah, I think that took up a big part of my life, and I'm very proud of it because it was able to give back to the community in many ways.
And it doesn't sound like the motivation from that was from a business perspective, even though you see the advantage to your business. Because I think a lot of times entrepreneurs do feel the pressure that they have to be doing things on a community level simply because they have to look a certain way within the community.
Right.
But this doesn't feel like that to
No,
me.
that was a labor of love.
Yeah,
That was
like
a labor of love. Fernie, when we started working on Wapiti, the summers in the Kootenays weren't as busy as the winter. So winter sports, skiing, ski hills was where everyone was traveling to for tourism. And then slowly over the last 20 years, as the summers have become quite a destination. And the music festival has been a part of that. All the music festivals have been a part of driving some tourism and tourism dollars into our communities with summer activities. And that the pendulum's almost swung the other way now almost. So I think that was a broader stroke vision rather than tiny strokes that Freya might be busy with a couple more tourists on the Wapiti weekend. It was like, how are we gonna get the summers busy?
right,
And here's one project that we can highlight to bring people in.
right. So with this piece with volunteering, you said that it's always been in your bones, that this is just something that you knew you needed to do. Is it something
Yeah,
that you've
I don't
seen your
know.
family doing?
No,
No. So this
no,
is kind of
no.
you're starting this in terms of your family.
Yeah, I hope I'm a good role model for my son. That I think that being involved in your community is, it's. I mean, if we're not involved in our community, then what does that community look like? I don't know. I just feel like who's volunteering to coach those kids softball teams, and who's bringing the drag show to town, and doing the pride week. I mean, we need, if you want to have a colorful community and make people feel included, you need volunteers.
Right. And why does that matter to you, that piece about having a community where people feel included?
What does it look like if people don't feel included? I think
Right.
that's where you have a community that's unhappy, crime. Yeah, that could look scary.
So it's about
Not a nice place to live.
creating a place where there's acceptance and love and connection.
Yes, that's a human. That's what it is to be human, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's funny because I think now the way our society is and the way our technology is there's so much isolation,
Mm-hmm.
and there's so many people that are on the peripheral of relationships and of life and not necessarily connecting. Even just, I've had conversations with people that don't feel comfortable picking up a phone to call someone.
I personally hate talking on the phone.
But meaning that it actually causes anxiety.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that they don't necessarily want to talk to people, but that they actually feel like they can't.
It's interesting because I think that in communities, and even with shopping in store, um, I don't think we can get away. We can't get away from what's happened. I mean, we do have social media. This has happened.
Yes.
But one saving grace, I guess, of it all was when everything kind of shut down in that pandemic, and then everything came roaring back. Concerts sell out. Like, good luck getting a ticket to Zach Bryan. Good luck getting a ticket to the drag show in Fernie tonight. Like, things have come roaring back because people do need connection. They are seeking it out. So if they're not feeling safe, or they're not feeling included, they're not going to come. But I think that there's still a huge thirst for people wanting to have human, real life connection. And we can't turn our back on the social media side of what's happened. It's part of our life. But I think that naturally we want to gather. It's
Yes.
instinctual.
Well, and what's interesting about your business has you're a brick and mortar and you're online. So
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of navigating between both of these pieces where
Mm-hmm.
you're
It's challenging.
physically there and also there online.
I think that for me to forge ahead in the new retail world, I think that you have to have the online. And I feel like because people are more isolated at home, they are not getting in their cars and going walking around malls as much as they used to in the 80s.
Right.
And they're not coming even into our downtowns as much as they used to. But you're using the tool of social media and your online store to let them know what you have. Because, I mean, that's the reality. They are on their phones at home. So how are you going to get in front of them? Are you going to let all those other stores do it? Or all those other products get in front of their face? Because it's happening. I mean,
Right.
how many times are you getting targeted with a targeted ad that's like, wow, they know me. This is a great targeted ad. I want to buy this right now. So, like, are you going to just let them, are you going to let your competition just have all that? Or do you want to put yourself out there too? And then that's an opportunity for them to say, wow, they got some great new things. And I think I want to try it on first. I can try it on first. I don't need to drive to Calgary to try this on. I'm going to come downtown. So why not take advantage of that?
Right.
So I think you have to have both to motivate people to come into your store, to show them what you have. I mean, I did it last night. My husband needed jeans. He does not shop. He will not go anywhere to shop. And I just opened my phone and I was like, okay, well, this store has this store has this, and these stores have these jeans. Which one do you want? And I just drove downtown and grabbed it. So, I mean, I think you need to do both.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who knows what it'll look like in 20 years from now. Because both are challenging. It's hard to do both. The technical side of the online store and then managing a brick and mortar is hard too. I mean, you have staff, merchandising, paying for the space. I mean, there's all those challenges in the old school world, and the new world. You're online with tons of competition.
Well, and you're doing both at once.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you decide where to put your energy?
Good question. A great question. I was thinking on the drive here about how when we started the store, we didn't even have a POS system. I had a cash register, where you punch the buttons, and we did hand receipts, and our tags were handwritten. And then now, and if you had told me back then that my store meant keeping the store alive meant that 20 years down the road, I would be on camera every day trying on clothes, like that's what it's taken to navigate all the changes in the world and to be successful. That's just crazy.
You never could have seen it coming.
Oh my God. You slowly have seen all these changes, and I've adapted, and you need to adapt along the way.
Well, and just the longevity that you've been in business. 17 years, that is a long time. Especially not having you didn't come in with a business degree. You came in knowing what it looked like because your parents were successful entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I think having the entrepreneurial raising, so I understood what it was going to take, and it wasn't just I'm done at 3:00, I'm done at 3:00.
Right.
It was I understood what it was going to take to get this going. But then also, I think, I don't know, the whole middle part's just such a blur. But like we were saying earlier, it's just in all of those changes, and I've seen so much. I've seen the most notable ones is whenever the economy drops, because that's when you really are on the back foot and you need to figure out what you're going to do to survive, to get back. I've seen, the drop of oil, the real estate crash, all those dips. And you're like, well, what am I going to do to come back? What am I going to do to come back? And to be honest, it's been the digital side.
That's how you've came back.
Yeah. Getting out in front, using that social media tool, using technology in, Facebook ads, or, that's always going to change. I still do webinars. That's not that. It's that doesn't end. I think to be successful, you have to be open to education all throughout. You're never going to be done.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to keep learning.
You have to keep learning
and keep
sometimes
working.
I come in and my whole POS system had an update overnight. And you're like, well, where's like, you're just, it's constant. So if you're not okay with change, maybe you do need like a more steady 9 to 5 job or something.
Predictable.
Predictable job. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I think that that's an interesting piece that it can always change. You have to stay up on it. You have to keep putting the time in and keep.
You have to embrace that change. You have to embrace that that is going to be your life. You can't be angry that, it's like you have to embrace that that's a big part of being an entrepreneur. There's change all the time, learning new things all the time. Embrace it. It's part of it.
So, do you like it? Do you like that part of change? Like, does it fuel you to be adapting all the time and to kind of be
Maybe it does.
moving with it, or is that?
I think it does. I think I like a challenge. I get bored easy. I get bored easy, and I also see like the benefit too. If we change this way, there's going to be a really grumpy period, but then there's this. This is good. This is what if you can see, if you have that broad strokes when you're the head of your company and you're looking at those broad strokes, not the little ones. Oh, well, if we change that, then we have to come every day. We have to do this. We have to do that. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't think about that. Where are you going to get to if you make these big changes or you make this little change? I mean, think broad strokes.
So you're looking forward to where this is going to go, not necessarily looking at all of the things that you need to fix or change in order to stay current and to stay relevant. You're looking at, if you do all these things, where is it going to go? How is it going to open doors for the company and for you and your family?
Yeah, and I think that when you have that mindset, you are going to see the change coming. You're not going to be on the back foot. You're going to see like, like online shopping is not really going away. Like maybe we need to be thinking about this. Like you're not going to be on the back. You are going to be like, no, we have the online store.
Well, and I think you've distilled down a piece of what it means to be an entrepreneur, because it's not as though we know what is going to work or how we're going to work, right? There's this element where you're just trying it out and you're experimenting to see what does work. And then you're looking back, okay, I did that and that had success. Or, oh, now I know that I need to tweak this part because this part of what I did wasn't really hitting the nail like I wanted it to.
Yeah, and being okay with something not working.
Yes.
Like being okay with that and owning it, being like, oh, we tried that we've tried lots of things over the years, and it's like, well, we tried, we gave it our best shot, and then either we didn't have a love for it or it really wasn't working and we read the market wrong. It didn't work. Move on. Cut your losses. Move on.
Yeah, that's huge. Well, and you do that in such a fun way in your store when you have those fashion challenges with the dud items.
Oh, yes. Yes. We
Those are
started that a long time
hysterical.
ago. Yeah. Yeah. You just embrace it and own it. And I think that that's even part of that digital world we're living in right now, is people want you to be real with them. You want to just be honest, be like, this shirt sucks. No one bought it.
Well,
what
and
are we gonna do with this? And instead of just like, trying really hard to style it, and like I think just be real.
Because in those challenges, you've ordered items and they haven't sold, or you've ordered them thinking they're going to look a certain way and then they show up and they're not what you thought they were going to be. So then the challenge is you show these items and you say, look, this is our flop. This is the store's
It's a flop. It's a flop. Let's see who can style it the best and just make a joke out of it.
Well, and I love the way community gets involved in those.
Yeah.
Right? Because
it's been super fun.
It speaks to that other piece that matters to you, that we're all connected and we're in this together. So let's help each other out.
It's about that authenticity that people start to relate to. Because they're like, it does suck. I didn't want to say anything. And I was like, no, like, because just, like, that's just all like we're all thinking it. Yeah. And I think that's what makes a lot of that stuff successful, is when you are just being relatable. People want to relate to you.
They do. And they want to know that you get them. Because
you're helping them.
Yeah.
Like you're there to help them. You're like them. You hear them. You have the same problems. I'm thinking back to like our conversation about just the size and sizes and whatnot. It's like people just want realness.
Well, and they want to know that they're okay. And they want to know that other people feel the same way that they do. you know?
Yep.
Like I think
That's connection.
it is connection, and I think that's one of the wonderful things about being an entrepreneur in a brick and mortar shop is because people can physically see you. They can come in
And
and
connect.
connect with you and talk with you, and you have an opportunity to connect with them.
Yep.
And I think when they see you online being authentic and you know, saying who you are.
It's like an extension. I think that when you're in the store and you're having connections with people, you build trust too. I think that's a big part too. Because if I out of the blue started carrying, you know, like, I don't know, like diamond crusted bikini tops, like like they'd be like, Shan, that doesn't look good. I'm never gonna wear that. Why are you trying to sell me this? So because they trust me. We've had so much connection, either online or in the store, that they trust.
And I think that matters because I don't always think women know how they actually look to others or how clothes actually look. So I think that there's sometimes a concern about, is this person being honest with me?
Yeah.
Because I don't think that we necessarily have accurate perceptions of how we look.
Yeah, I think that there's a trust there. I think because if it's not like anyone comes out of the change room and I'm saying, "Oh, that looks really bad." I think that it's not like that. It's not. It's more like, let me help you get to the point where you are going to see your beautiful self and that the confidence that you're going to need. Let me help you. Let me guide you into what you're going to need. And then I think just like the years of the store being open has created a lot of trust. So if I'm bringing you something in the change room or I'm showing you something online, you're like, well, Shan really thinks it looks good. So I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
I don't have time to go on Pinterest and navigate what's happening this fall. I'm busy, but Shan's curated this down. After all these years, I do trust her. She's put herself out there. I feel like I know her, or I do know her. I trust what she's picked. I trust what she's saying. I trust what she's bringing me.
And I think that's what really matters in business for a customer base is for customers, for clients to feel like they know you as a business owner and that they can trust what you are selling or what you are providing for them.
Yeah.
And it matters more in small communities, I think, than it does in larger communities because of those dual relationships that we were talking about before. Because you have to be, as a business owner, you have to be your authentic self because they're going to know it when you're at the soccer field if that's not who you are. Or when you see them at the doctor's office or any of those places that you run into people when you live in a small community like we have in the Kootenays here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think trust, guiding people, being your authentic self is, and adapting is like the key things that I would share today.
So you've got work, you've got volunteering, you have your family, and work is kind of two things because you've got your online business and your brick and mortar business. It's the same business, but those are very different things that you're having to do.
They're kind of different, but I see it more as like a whole piece now. I think that for me, the brick and mortar and the online is just hand in hand. It's just doing business nowadays. So when I go into the store, I have, you know, a moment to do some things that are going to be going online. And then I'm having connections with customers. It's just like a full day of all of it is all together. Yeah, I don't know if I see it as separate anymore. I think it's
kind of become that as you've gone through business.
Yeah. The online is it's just part of doing business. It's not a separate thing.
So how do you handle all of these different things in your life? How do you handle your personal life and your business and your volunteering?
I think that being a 43-year-old woman and having a business and having a family, you're pulled in a lot of directions. And it's even difficult to manage like friendships. You're booking out 2 months later with your girlfriend. If you know what I mean, like we're very busy. We're pulled in all these different directions, even just like maintaining your house, this weekend, I'm going to spend a weekend, winterizing and taking the trampolines down and whatnot. So you're pulled in so many directions. I think what I need is my time for my own hobby, and I have to have to make time for that. So like I do have some side hustles that I enjoy, and my husband's very understanding that I need to have some time outside of Freya and house. Once a month, my girlfriend and I DJ at a bar in town, and I love music. It's something that I like to share, and it's nice to make a little money, I guess, doing something that you love. But that's my, like, once a month, I slip away and I do that. And that's been a big part of like keeping Shan. I'm not all mom. I'm not all business. I'm like, I still am me. What do I like? I still have my own things that I like to do. And so it's important to like carve out some time. And if you have a supportive partner, that's wonderful that you can do something like that, and pull yourself away and do something for yourself.
I think that is such a incredible way to look at that you're not all business, you're not all mom, because those roles in themselves can be all consuming.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're thinking about your role as a mother or you're thinking about your role as a business owner, that can take all your time.
I think it makes you, I think it when you have a foot in your own self and your self-awareness and all that, I think that makes me a better business owner. I think that makes me a better mom. I believe that. So I think it's important, and I think it's a good example for my son that mom's has a business. She has her life. And then I want him to find a woman like me one day. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a good role model. I don't want to be all mom or be all business and ignore all the other things. I don't think that's healthy.
Do you have a difficulty in staying present in those times, right? So when you're with your son, is
Mm-hmm.
it hard to be present because you've got all the stuff about Freya in the background?
It
Or
can be. It definitely can be. I definitely notice when I'm with him or having a moment where I'm like, I'm like, I consciously
hmm,
push that aside. Like, I have to. It's very hard. I mean, there's so much. Or even when you're I mean, being present is difficult when you're a mom and you have the mental load of everything. I'm like, isn't there supposed to be some sort of t-shirt you're supposed to wear tomorrow at school? Like, am I supposed to be digging around for like the orange sweatshirt for next Monday? Of course you have all of that in your head all the time. I don't know if humans were meant to have all of this mental load, but we do.
excellent question. I have no idea.
I don't think we were meant for all of this, but we do. It is the reality. So like, I do make a point when I'm with him many times to be like, and push it out.
Yeah.
I find it hard. Yeah, of course.
I love that you said the piece about being conscious about that it's a conscious decision that you're going to stay here now
Mm-hmm.
in this moment with your
Mm-hmm.
son, or even if at work, right? Like staying in the moment with the work that you need to do, because the mental load of having a family can eat away at your time when you're at work too, right? Thinking
Mm-hmm.
about those things. And I think there's something to be said about being conscious about it and intentional about focusing, especially because I find with my kids, I'm not always interested in the things that they're interested in, right? When they have conversations about the things that they're super passionate about, I can get distracted easily
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm not into it in the way that they're into it.
Yeah.
But I am into them as a person. So I love that piece about being conscious, and it's a practice
I'm,
thing.
yeah, I'm just being totally vulnerable right now that like I have to consciously push out. And I find one really useful tool for me is I have to put my phone in another room.
Hmm.
Like, just it not being near me, I will all of a sudden, my husband and I talked for like an hour. Wow. Like, we talked for an hour. I needed to just have my phone in another room and just organically have a nice conversation with him after work on the couch and find out about his day. But I have to, that to me is almost, maybe it's just like a trigger or something where I like have to put it in another room. And I'll do that at work too. I'll like put it in the back room, and then I'll merchandise the whole store, and I'm talking to customers all day, and I've just had this great day, and I was able to just not think about all the other things that I need to be doing,
Hmm.
because it's just way too easy for me to get caught up in all the things.
Does it feel stressful to not have your phone close
No,
by?
no, no. And
Like, was that something you had to kind of get over?
no, I just noticed that that's what would happen. I would like put my phone in my bedroom and then go downstairs, and then I would just go, I'd be having all this time downstairs with my family. And then I was like, oh yeah, where's my phone? And I was like, oh, that is actually just a little trick for me if I just put my phone somewhere else and then I just go about living.
Yeah.
And then when I get back to my phone, I'm like, oh, look at all these things, kind of hammer out those things. And I'm like, oh, that's great. That's done. But I have to put it in another room.
I want to go back to early in our conversation when you were saying that you got burnt out in the city.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible that you were able to turn your life around at that point and realize that you didn't want to have your life go in that direction. But the demands that have been on your life could be quite substantial. So how did you safeguard? Like, was there something that happened in that experience, your early work experience, that enabled you to safeguard you from future situations that would start to feel like that?
You know what I'll say about that is when I lived in Calgary in the city and I was working in film and television and I was doing my best by all means on paper, doing everything right, I look back on that and I was not, I didn't find my people. I didn't find my community that was really letting me flourish in the way that I was meant to be. Not everybody has the luxury or privilege to just get up and move to go find your people. So
Right.
some people that's where they are. But I look back on that and it was like, I wasn't with the right people. They weren't bad people, but when I got back to the Kootenays, especially with some of the connections in the Fernie area, my creativity, my zest, my interests were just blossoming. I found my people. And I think that is where what I would say to that is that I didn't necessarily need to find safeguards. I found my place. I found a community that I flourished in. It was the right kind of people for me.
Well, and you've really hit the nail on the head there, because when you're in relationship with people that really know you and create a safe place for you, it enables you to be creative in ways that you couldn't be when you don't have those people in your life.
And maybe like it's easier to find your voice, and to express, in a safe place, and to like have people support you and uplift you.
Mm-hmm.
Even opening Freya, like, I could have opened that in Calgary, but when I opened it in Freya, the whole community came out. Shan, the girl that was on, because I worked at the TV station, so they were like, this girl opened a store, let's go check it out. Like, it's just so heartwarming that they really supported me.
They're behind you.
Yeah, yeah, and that is what enabled me to grow the business, was the community.
Well, and I'm sure that continued to fuel your passion for volunteerism and for building community.
Mm-hmm.
When you feel that community support and you know what a difference that made for you as an individual,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it easy to give back in that way.
Yeah,
Because you see the value in it.
yeah, and they were just my people. I can't explain it. I've seen lots of people move to the community or to the Kootenays who never really found that connection and moved on.
Yeah.
That's okay too. They needed to go find their people. And I really found my groove once I hit the Kootenays when I came back. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that's such a great point that you made. It doesn't mean that this place is for everyone.
It's true. And being an entrepreneur isn't for everybody.
Well, and I think that mindset really speaks to the way that you see the world. That people are of value even if we're not the same,
Mm-hmm.
and that finding connection and finding your place is what matters,
Mm-hmm.
because as a person you matter. So if you can find that place where you're plugged in and where you're connected and where you feel valued and respected, then you can be who you were meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So how, like, that's so important for humans to find their people where they can flourish and to uplift them.
Well, and having people believe in you,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
sounds like what you're trying to do for all those women that come into your store.
Yeah. Like I said, like it's retail. I sell women's clothes, but like if I can make them feel better so that they can do great in that job interview, or walk into that courtroom confident, whatever is going on, that's all I want to do.
It's so much more than selling clothes.
Well, I'd like to think it's deeper connections, than, than just selling clothes to people, but, that's what I think maybe got me through 17 years of doing this. I still have a love for it.
Well, and because it's not just about the nitty-gritty piece of the clothes. Like
Yeah.
that's the vehicle.
Yeah, and it's not just like, "Oh, let's hit this sales goal and let's do this, let's do that." It's like it's so much more to me than that. I take it all very personal, of course, because we're not in it to just be business. You still have to have your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we've changed how we do life lately. Like in the last, like since the course of your business, we've changed the way that we do life. Our work isn't separate
Mhm.
from our life, and we have this desire for all aspects of our life to work, which is why I think when you're with your son, you want to make sure that you're giving your son your attention. And
Mhm.
when you're at work, you want to give work your attention, or with
Mhm.
your partner, you give your partner attention, or in your community giving back, you want to be present in all those places. And it seems like part of the reason why you've been able to be successful over the last 17 years in your company is because you've been able to navigate all those spaces and work on all of those things at once.
I think when I work on all of those things at once, I try to do a really good job at all of them. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't go to the store and call it in. If I'm going to be at the store, and I say this to my son all the time, if you're going to do it good.
Yeah.
Do it the best that you can. Don't just go and half-ass it. Go and do a great job at that. And then when it's done, move on to the next. So everything that I do the best that I can. And then you turn that off, you go to the next thing.
I think that that's where the success has come from, is that drive to do well on all of these fronts and to really pay attention to what matters right now. What matters right now is being with my son. What matters right now is figuring out how to make work work.
Yep. Yeah, I think that like that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur is that you can fit it around what's important to you and for example, family. It's that's the most important part. How is this career, how is this business going to work around that to give me the best that I can out of my most important priority, which is my family.
Hmm.
And if you're going to do something, do it good. Put your heart into it. Do your research. Be adaptable. You can do hard things.
Yeah, and you can fail and recover from failure.
Failure's going to happen. You're going to have duds.
Yeah.
And then embrace it, move on, learn from it. Don't beat yourself up. Keep going.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming
I
today.
thank you for thinking of me. This has been great.
I've loved having this conversation with you because I've known you for a long time. I'm thinking back to high school as when we first met. And but I haven't necessarily known you. And I feel like today I've gotten some insight into the things that have made you or shaped you and helped you to make the types of decisions that I see you making. So how you ended up in Fernie and why you prioritize community the way that you do. It's beautiful to watch and it's inspiring because not all entrepreneurs feel the same way about investing back in their community as you do. And
And that's the good keyword, right? Investing. If you invest back in your community, you're going to see a return.
but your motivation in investing in it wasn't for the return. And that's the piece
It's true.
that really stands out to me because there's this genuine part of you that wants to invest. And yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that putting yourself out there is a part of the drive of being successful.
Hmm.
If sometimes you got to put yourself out there, and the reward is great.
Well, and your story is it's fascinating to hear it kind of, from graduating to going away to school, from working this hard job to finding yourself in a community that you always knew you loved and to kind of risk it all to be there and not just quit when it got hard because you spent a year crying. That's a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah. I
But
didn't meet
just
I didn't meet anybody. you had a vision and you just keep working towards it, and nothing, I think I hear that in my girlfriends all the time about patience. So things do take time.
Yeah, they do. And you have to be willing to keep trying.
Yeah, keep trying, keep the vision, have patience with yourself and with how things move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for being
Thank
here
you for
and
having me.
for being open.
Yeah, and I think what you're doing right now is great and on point for the girl that I met 20 years ago.
20
20
years
years
ago,
ago.
for
Yeah.
sure. Thank you.
Thank you.